أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أعاذنا الله وإياكم من النار. My dear brothers and sisters, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our fasting and qiyam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bestow His mercy upon us in these blessed days of Ramadan. Please come close to each other. There are a lot of gaps. The brothers are coming, inshallah. So they won't pray outside. They have to find a room in here, inshallah. So if you make room for them, inshallah. Jazakumullah. My dear brothers and sisters, as we know, the man's nafs, desire, it can lead him to good or can lead him to evil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ إِلَّا مَا رَحِمَ رَبِّي. That the nafs that is inside us, the desire, is ammara bisu'. It will command the servant of Allah to do the su', the evil deeds or sinning and wickedness. إِلَّا مَا رَحِمَ رَبِّي. Except those whom Allah has mercy upon. Brothers and sisters, there is a question throughout the reading that I've done personally. The ulama has always asked this question. How much the texts that we have in Islam concerning the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, how much impact does it have on us in this time? Why it's not the same impact and influence as much as the Sahaba or the Tabi'een or the Tabi'een has? Ask yourself this question. When we hear the Quran, the book of Allah, which is Allah's speech, or when we hear the speech of our Messenger ﷺ, how much impact and influence it touches your heart? So the ulama asked this question. And they gave stories that has been authenticated in the books of the Siyar about our Salaf al-Salih, the predecessors, such as the Imam of the Haram. The famous Imam of the Haram was named Al-Fudayl ibn Iyad. Al-Fudayl ibn Iyad was the Imam of Mecca. And he had a son named Ali. His son Ali was always praying in the first line behind his father. His father, Al-Fudayl ibn Iyad, whenever reciting the Quran, Allah has blessed him with a beautiful recitation and voice. So he couldn't tolerate himself of crying, hearing Allah's speech. So Al-Fudayl ibn Iyad, when he recites, he hears his son crying and tearing out loud, and he couldn't tolerate himself. So he stops and he makes ruku', feeling mercy for his son. One day, Al-Fudayl ibn Iyad was leading the Maghrib prayer. And Ali behind him, he wasn't on time. So Al-Fudayl ibn Iyad, he kept reciting Surah Al-Tur. وَالطُّورِ وَكِتَابٍ مَسْطُورٍ الآية في رق المنشور. The Surah of the Tur. He kept reciting and he didn't hear any crying, so he kept reciting. However, his son Ali was in the third row. Later on, when he finished the salah, they told him, may Allah bestow His mercy upon you, your son passed away in the salah. He was hearing his father reciting Allah's words. Why there is that impact upon these people but not on us nowadays? Don't we ask ourselves this question? When we read the book of Allah, the Mu'jizah, the Quran al-Kareem, Allah's speech, how much impact does it have on us when the Imam is leading the Taraweeh? Do we just stand there and listen so we can't wait when he's going to make ruku'? Or do we hear word by word, because as Allah's speech, as our pious predecessors were? I'll tell you the answer later why. Before I gave you this story. Al-Hasan al-Basri, famous Imam of Basra in Iraq. People used to visit his home all the time for him to remind them of Allah and the last day. Because the more we remind ourselves of Allah and the last day, the more iman we will have. And the more increased our fear towards Allah will be. Al-Maymun ibn Mihran was the alim at that time also, and he had a son. He lived a couple miles away from the home of Al-Hasan al-Basri. Al-Maymun ibn Mihran, he told his son, oh my son, إِنِّي وَجَدْتُ فِي قَلْبِي غِلْظَةً أي شدة حزن هم. Oh my son, there is something hard that I feel in my heart. He didn't say, take me to a doctor. He said, take me to Al-Hasan al-Basri. Alim, Imam, was going to remind him and soften his heart with the remembrance of Allah. He said, my father, I'll take you to Al-Hasan al-Basri. They crossed upon a stream. The son, he laid on the stream and his father crossed on his back so his father wouldn't wet himself. They crossed the stream and they reached the home of Al-Hasan al-Basri. They knocked the door and the jariyah, she opened the door, the maid. And she said, Ya Shaykh al-Su', and she told him, oh Shaykh of Su', what else do you want? Because he kept coming back to the home of Hasan al-Basri. She said, go back where you came from. He started crying. She said, no, I want to see Hasan al-Basri. Because of the minute time that Hasan al-Basri has, many people go and visit him. Sometimes they go back home. He said, no, I must see him. Al-Hasan al-Basri, he finally came down. Assalamu alaikum, they hugged each other. And he said, oh Imam, I found something hard that's harming me, it's hurting me in my heart. Tell me something that will soften my heart. And what else can soften the heart except the book of Allah, the Quran al-Karim. So he told him one ayah, nothing else. أَفَرَأَيْتَ إِن مَّتَّعْنَاهُمْ سِنِينَ ثُمَّ جَاءَهُم مَّا كَانُوا يُوعَدُونَ مَا أَغْنَى عَنْهُم مَّا كَانُوا يُمَتَّعُونَ. And he dropped unconscious and he passed out. He heard one ayah. What is the ayah? Allah says in Surah Al-Shu'ara, فَرَأَيْتَ إِن مَّتَّعْنَاهُمْ سِنِينَ. Don't you see? If we give them the enjoyment of this life for years, enjoying themselves in this life, ثُمَّ جَاءَهُم مَّا كَانُوا يُوعَدُونَ. Then the wa'id comes and the appointment, the day of the judgment has come. Nothing that they have done before will benefit them. Gone. This dunya will be gone. The Prophet ﷺ explains this hadith narrated in Bukhari by Abu Hurairah. And he said, يَأْتِي أَنْعَمْ رَجُلْ فِي الدُّنْيَا. The one that has the most na'im and blessings and wealth in this dunya. Disbeliever or a major sinner or a wicked person. Allah will dip him in hellfire once. And the angel will ask him, do you remember the enjoyment of the life that you had? And he say, I don't remember anything. وَيَأْتِي أَفْقَرْ رَجُلْ فِي الدُّنْيَا مُؤْمِنٌ. And the poorest person in this dunya, a believer. And he will enter the Jannah. And they ask him, the angels, have you ever had any hardship in this dunya? Do you remember anything? He said, I don't remember any hardship that I had in this dunya. We ask Allah to save us from hellfire.
Ameen.
And to enter us the Jannah.
Ameen.
The impact of the book of Allah and the speech of the Prophet ﷺ, when we hear with our ears, does it cross the heart? It will cross the other ear. And we do what our desire is telling us to do. Why? As I told you, why they were like that and we're not. Only whom Allah has bestowed His mercy upon. Because they understood عظمة الخالق. The ulama have said, عرفوا ربهم. They know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they glorify the Lord. You see people seeking knowledge and have a lot of knowledge, but they have very little bit lack of knowledge of Tawheed. That's why we make them arrogant and follow their desire, because they don't know the Tawheed and the proper Aqidah. But the Prophet ﷺ, why? And they kept saying this. For 23 years of dawah, every day Tawheed sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They glorify the Lord and they know who is worshipping. So the ulama have said, تعظيم الله في تعظيم كتابه وسنة نبيه وتعظيم خلقه. The ulama have said, to glorify the Lord is in glorified book of His, Al-Quran, and the Sunnah of His Messenger. And when you see His glory in His creatures, how do we glorify our Lord? How do we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? These two things. We know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I mentioned many times. We know Him by His names and His attributes. They know who are they worshiping. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I might ask many Muslims nowadays, or you ask them, give me 30, not 99, 30 names of Allah. And please explain them to me.